Peace and positive. This is Amelia A. Otto, aka Emily MC, author of Y'all Not Gonna Make Me Lose My Mind. And today's topic is on communal health, platonic relationships, and whether community is necessary for mental health and wellness. Now, before we get into some clips from the global community, we're looking at the concept, practice, and variations on the so-called village around us and its impact on mental health. And I understand off the bat that this is a complex topic, especially for creatives and public-facing professionals for whom moments of solitude is necessary and recurring loneliness can seem unavoidable. However, let's just get the stats out of the way up top here, okay? First of all, this topic is pressing because according to the National Institute of Mental Health, 1 in 5 Americans is living with a mental illness right now, and about half the population will experience one in their lifetime. And to that point, the correlation between communal health and mental health is undeniable. Said by the 2026 peer-reviewed article titled Community Mental Health, Why It Matters in Public Health Today by the National University, quote, understanding the relationship between community and public health helps explain why mental health is no longer viewed as only an individual clinical issue, but as a population-level priority that affects overall well-being, equity, and prevention efforts, end quote. And well said by a 2023 study titled Sense of Community and Mental Health, a cross-sectional analysis from a household survey in Wisconsin, quote, our findings suggest that sense of community, a limited form of social capital, is negatively associated with self-reported symptoms of depression, anxiety, and stress. They provide a foundation for exploring further the importance of social relationships in promoting and protecting mental health in a turbulent and increasingly insecure society. Compared with those with a positive sense of community, those with a neutral or negative sense of community had significantly higher odds of reporting moderate, severe, or extremely severe symptoms of depression, anxiety, and stress, end quote. Now, humans have been debating and discussing the necessity of friendship, mentorship, nepotism for centuries. But these discussions have kind of taken a back seat in our postmodern debates and observations about romantic relationships. I mean, commentary that's become so divisive, contentious, edgy, deflective, and in a lot of ways toxic, especially online. Though also some excellent discourse, humor, truth, and revelation from within what used to be called the battle of the sexes. This has evolved into snappier ideologies, dissecting, progressing, and flipping the power dynamics of the so-called red pill, blue pill, black pill, pink pill, bedazzle pill, all the pills, as well as discussions and debates on marriage, divorce, abstinence, and breaking generational curses or cycles by simply not bringing in no more generations, indefinitely or until certain social, economic, and environmental conditions improve. But within all this hullabaloo about men, women, they, thems, boyfriends, girlfriends, partnerships, legal or civic marriage, cohabitation, the 50 laws, the art of seduction, siren energy, etc., an important war cry has come from quieter voices, or just those with less algorithmic favor, that platonic relationships are just as, if not more important than romantic ones. And as forever iconic sociologist, poet, writer, and Black woman radical Bell Hooks noted in her book All About Love and other works, in many ways, community is the most important relationship. She wrote notably, quote, communities sustain life, not nuclear families or the couple, and certainly not the rugged individual. To build community requires vigilant awareness of the work we must continually do to undermine all the socialization that leads us to behave in ways that perpetuate domination, end quote. And in our modern world where the global pandemic of 2019-ish, 2020 literally separated, isolated, and disrupted everyone's sense of health and wellness, on top of redefining the word essential and showing us how debatably unnecessary communing and in-person work with others was for upholding most modern workflows and capitalistic interests, we find ourselves in a complex new reality. Because even on the platonic side, we've been experiencing what scholars have increasingly called, quote, the loneliness crisis, end quote. I touched on this in a previous Day 20 episode on creative intelligence. And of course, many to most creatives are no stranger to feeling lack or void in genuine community. But being used to it doesn't make it absolutely suck any bit less, and doesn't make the debate of what's necessary for humans to be human any less questionable. There's also the perspective of those who thrive in solitude or singlehood and redesign their lives positively after negative experiences in families, committed partnerships, or groups. There, of course, will always be those who identify with, quote, being alone but not lonely, end quote. And I'm not going to sit here and tell y'all that I hadn't become numb, drained, or overstimulated from actively seeking to maintain, identify, or grow a consistently central community in my own life, because I definitely did, several times, in person and online. I firmly and officially stopped joining and participating in Facebook groups several years ago, and believe me, I was in there. I more than tried, okay? I was also part of many groups corralled around the same values, ideals, and passions, and these were great for a season or few, even years at a stretch, especially in the so-called conscious community or spiritual community and revolutionary community. There's many with whom I may not be present, but I'll always be a part of because of those mutual principles, because of a shared vision in a more ideal world, and because I genuinely liked certain people in these groups and enjoy being in concert with them, hearing their points of view and sharing with them. I've also met a lot of people in extracurricular activities, workshops, professional events, cultural events, parties, jobs, conferences, gyms, parks, stores. I mean, there's definitely not been a shortage in my life of humans physically or digitally around. I've been out, I've mingled, I've schmoozed, I've gotten to know, I've invested, I've checked in, I've followed up. I've congratulated strangers and been inspired by people I didn't even know doing cool or courageous things. And all this has been great at many times along the way. I've had a lot of rich conversations and been exposed to many different ways of living, thinking, and behaving. The whole your network is your net worth thing has a lot of truth to it also for quality of life. And now, with all that said, it'll still always take two to tango, know what I mean? And being in a community and feeling the sense of one are still different things. There's also something critical that happens when being part of a community is no longer a positive experience or requires one to shrink themselves or pretend a fundamental imbalance is not present. There's also the intergenerational aspect that's so key. I detail some of this in the Day 12 is Hip Hop's Creativity and Mental Health issue video, where the hip hop generations are dealing with elders who had significant environmental trauma, horrible experiences in professional industries, whose presence and contributions were either uncelebrated or undocumented, and who left their main line of career or notoriety, sometimes with little to show for themselves or no prosperity to fall back on or grow. Therefore, these elders often don't have the capacity to give and share with the next generations healthily or constructively because they were never given certain things themselves, didn't know how to healthily deal with the unprecedented shifts and changes over the decades, or were largely unprepared for the future as it became. Many of these elders are not contributing to a sense of genuine community because they literally don't know how to, don't have the mental or emotional bandwidth to, or are hyper-focused still on their own stability, comfort, and habits, which may bring them more immediate or long-term satisfaction. Now, while I firmly understand the logic, reasoning, and valid emotions here, especially for those who definitely deserved better from previous years and decades, again, this doesn't make it absolutely suck any less and doesn't make it any better for current and future generations who are now navigating the world, industries, and neighborhoods without a communal inheritance, who don't get the benefit of a cleanly documented history or willing oral history, who are learning more lessons the hard way because little to no one is there to positively reinforce, guide, or be an active or even passive example. As well, because of certain shared experiences or communal traumas, sometimes people tend to stick with the relative comfort of their generational peers. Sometimes the experience of community is different depending on how fixed, familiar, or comfortable a person's identity is with the accepted norms of a community, be it positive, negative, or indifferent. Now, I can say firsthand that this happens a lot in the hip-hop community, especially with women. Now, of course, there's also the element of timing, build over time, of growing with a community. True. However, what about when a community refuses to grow? Or you've simply outgrown it? What about when a community observes your growth, but does not have the capacity to hold it and uplift it? And what about where capacity seems more like choice, personal preference, and familiarity bias than the need for more time to genuinely get to know you? What about when you've arrived at a place where there is no sense of community and you have to locate or create one? What about self-identifying when you belong to multiple communities? Now, Afeni Shakur, prolific revolutionary activist, organizer, public speaker, muse, and mother of hip-hop legend Tupac Shakur, once described herself as belonging to a global community. That though well-respected and beloved, especially for her Black Panther Party lineage, she said people often expected that when she talked about, quote, the community, that she was just talking about Black folk. But she made it a point to say she usually meant the world. That she saw herself as a member of Earth, as an ambassador to the world, and to Black and Indigenous people of all lands. So in essence, everywhere she traveled, she could always find, quote, her people. I found a lot of resonance in this perspective, and it also pointed to how one can reinterpret the divisions of different communities. But look, and now we have terms like, quote, global citizen, which is now also a branded multi-million-dollar concert and global corporate relief effort. However, this commercialized identity is also on the backdrop of so much communal history now also erased or silenced, effectively erasing and silencing many people along with it. And so many removals of third places, aka social spaces outside of home and work, as well as warm historic neighborhoods and communal rites of passage, have all increased feelings of loneliness and a weird relationship with false or unfulfilling interactions. So where does this leave us? What about just being able to enjoy life's simple pleasures with other humans who care about us or at least are not a threat to our safety or well-being? And what about cookout energy and knowing our neighbors' names? And what about leisure and friendship? If you'll indulge me in a little poetry, Houdini said in 1984, friends, how many of us have them? Friends, the ones we can depend on. Now, TLC said in 1992, what about your friends? Will they stand their ground? Will they let you down? Yeah. Are they going to be low down? Are they going to be around? Or will they turn their backs on you? And Kanye said in 2016, real friends. How many of us are real friends to real friends? End quote. Now, these are all excellent questions. And it seems like decade after decade, we keep asking them. Message. I'm wrapping up here. So what about this so-called village? What about protecting children, teenagers, and elders? What about young people having safe adults to discuss things with that are not their parents? Now, I understand the concerns of negative influence and safety. However, as someone who a lot of young people have come to with things they felt they could not openly discuss with their parents, I thank God they trusted me because they really did need help, either to avoid danger, get out of danger, or emotionally process danger, which had already happened. So we're here to look at the behavioral psychology, energy mapping, and relationship dynamics at play here. And to be honest, we might not answer these questions today with an absolute yes or no. Fitting though, because Merriam-Webster defines absolute as, quote, free from restrictions, exceptions, or qualifications, positive and unquestionable, end quote. And no community truly is all these things all the time. Greek philosopher Aristotle allegedly said, quote, man is by nature a social animal. An individual who is unsocial naturally and not accidentally is either beneath our notice or more than human, end quote. Now, Aristotle is widely known to have, allegedly, provided history with a Eurocentric framework of man also being a political animal by nature, of the need for humans to orient themselves in group life, structure, and necessary phases. But where does this need harmonize with health and wellness? And in a postmodern, post-industrial, information-driven 21st century digital age, how do we account for being pushed out of communities, or the dangers of group life, or the balance of solitude, or the necessity of social gathering? How do we even define community and recognize or determine its place in our lives? Now, if you're following along with my original book, this is the day 21 quote from page 140. And based on today's topic, here is prompt number 22. Thank you all for your support of Y'all Not Gonna Make Me Lose My Mind. And without further ado, let's roll the clips and hear from the global community, about sense of community, social capital, and how communal health impacts mental health. Peace.
The world just lost D'Angelo. Yes. You understand? And as I was at his service, I couldn't help but think, like, man, if we just talked more and we just shared our stories of what was going on behind the scenes, you could help pull somebody out of some darkness. This is not for you to hate yourself. This is for you to understand the historical cycle of abuse that we've been in as a people and what it's done to us. Okay? I hear patterns when I hear people speak, and I heard patterns when I heard Jamila speak. When I heard, first of all, I saw a beautiful, gifted, and talented young girl who didn't necessarily have the support because her light was so bright that it made people uncomfortable. She received that discomfort as something negative about herself, and she internalized that. And that created a pattern of behavior that got her in trouble that really didn't have anything to do with her herself. So with us, we have to take the intuitive understanding that we have in spirit. So we're not prejudging. We're not judging prematurely. We're not misunderstanding what's going on. No, abuse is horrible. We know it's horrible. But we also know that abuse begets abuse. And these are patterns of abuse. When you come together like this and you talk through it, this is healing. Remember our communities, we didn't talk. Because we were ostracized for speaking about it looked like weakness. The thing is that we can help each other through it if we have the wisdom to understand that this is actually strength. It is strength to come together and talk about what's going on. There are people who benefit when we can't see clearly. We gotta talk about it. And we gotta jump in the middle of that and straighten that out. Every increment, every person is a part of this healing process. Don't consider your work small. It's not small. If even a pinky finger, we unite, we heal, we help, we transform, we transcend. Let's keep that going. Let's keep that moving.
Community is so important, and we got a lot of people nowadays who have protected their peace out of community, right? They protected their peace so much they don't got anybody. They just go to school, do what they need to do, talk to who they need to talk to, and then they go back home. They may go work, they may do that. That's it. We're living in this epidemic of lonely people because we've all forgotten how much we need each other. And then not only that, we mistake posting on social media and connecting that way as real connection.
It took me 5 years to understand that building a community is the real wealth. And I'm gonna explain it to you in 60 seconds. Here the fuck we go. Number one, I thought wealth was just fucking money. Then I realized isolation is fucking poverty. You can't build empire solo if you still think collaboration is competition. Number two, I stopped flexing independence and started learning interdependence. You can't pray for abundance while gatekeeping your connections like it's the secret formula to fucking cope. Number three, I realized your fucking network is your net worth, but not in that fake, who can I use way? It's about who you can grow with, build with, and call when life knocks you in your fucking face. Like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in their face. Number four, I learned support doesn't always look like money. Sometimes it's a repost, a conversation, or someone speaking your name in rooms you didn't even know fucking existed. Number five, I stopped waiting for the world to build a table for me and started building one with my fucking people. Because real wealth ain't just in your bank account, it's in your circle, your legacy, your fucking impact. And last but not least, you don't need 1 million followers. You need 10 solid people who believe in you like it's their own fucking dream to. There, saved your ass ego, burnout, and a lonely grind that never had to be lonely in the first fucking place.
Talking to your peers and having community is so important because some of the shit that we go through or I hear is not normal. But you wouldn't know it's not normal because you don't talk or say anything. We need community. I'm actually reading this book. It's called The Spirit of Intimacy. And it talks about how we literally need a village. Like humans are not meant to go through life alone. You're not meant to be lonely. All your thoughts are not meant to sit inside of your head. Speak so you know when some shit ain't right and so you can get some insight. And so you can also share your insight when some shit ain't right.
I hate to be the one to break it to you, and I know that TikTok therapy has tried to convince you otherwise, but you and we do actually owe people a lot. I don't know where this narrative of you don't owe anyone anything, think of yourself first, etc., genuinely came from. Well, that's a lie. I think I get the sentiment. You have to look after yourself too. But somewhere along the way, I think we've lost the true essence of this saying. I think it's wild that we live in a time where we genuinely believe that we don't owe anyone anything. Time to hang out, a text back, an explanation to something, some sort of understanding. It's so wild to me that this is actually a common saying in our society. Growing up, I remember seeing my parents' friends over all the time. Anytime they needed anything, they were calling their friends. And it's really interesting living in a city like London because I do have community and I do have a real sense of that. But as a whole, I feel like that's not the commonplace thing. And I'm going to be so real. I don't think it's even exclusive to London. I think it's something in our generation. And part of the reason that I think things like run clubs and social clubs are becoming so popular again is because people are tired of doing life alone, and rightly so. Like, this is not what we were designed for. Even thinking primarily, it does not make sense for us to be alone, and that's still true today to modern day society. We do owe each other a lot, and I think our generation, our age group, would be in a much better position if we understood really the true essence of community.
Sequoia trees have very shallow root systems. They're a big ass tree, so how the fuck do they survive? Let me tell you. Their root system intertwine amongst each other in order to support each other. Without that phenomenon, the sequoia trees would not be able to survive. And same goes for fucking human beings. If we never had community, then none of us would be alive today. We survive by supporting each other, building community amongst each other. The whole bootstrapping thing, that's a load of bullshit. It's a lie that capitalism and white supremacy tells us to live in a more individualistic system. However, each person that has been able to become successful dependent on somebody else to help them. Community is integral to help us survive, and so we have to build it. I mean, shit, I'm building an online community for people in the film and TV industry to connect amongst each other and with the professionals, think of production companies, agents, managers, so on and so forth. Because I know in order to survive these rough times in Hollywood, you have to have a community. We have to prop each other up in order to make it. And online is great and all, but I also think it's important for us to meet in person.
Let's talk about the myth of the need to have a friend group. So we are obviously receiving a lot of messages from media, and this creates these archetypes of a good life in our minds. And we think that life needs to be a certain way in order for us to live a good life. The truth is, we need a society where everyone's material needs are met for free. And on top of that, there are so many different ways. If that foundation were the case, there'd be so many different ways for us to live a good life. Not everyone would need to be in a romantic partnership. Like, we are 8 billion people. The idea that we could all fit neatly into one of these archetypal like modes of being is completely incorrect. It's not correct, and it doesn't actually make sense. So we don't all need romantic partnerships. We don't all need, these friend groups that are perfectly curated. There's many ways to have a good life, and I think that we should find the kernel of truth in the mythology. Like, for example, we all do need like love and community, but we don't need it to look a certain way, okay?
I have to share something that was in church because it was so good, and it's something that I constantly talk about, and I really try to be like true to that, is the importance of like community. Like, we need community. Community is actually one of the needs, according to Maslow, one of the needs to feel like good, to feel whole, essentially. And we need community, and community is so important. And he talked about something that I learned about, which was how in America, we are very individualistic, right? Be independent. Don't depend on anybody. Get out on your own. Go get your own thing. Build your own thing. All of that, right? And in a lot of other countries and a lot of other cultures, pretty much most cultures, it's actually not that. And it's have people, be around people, build with your family, build a community. It's really important to have people around you that make you feel good. That make you feel motivated, that make you feel accepted, or that make you feel seen. It's really important to have people. And I love to say this, especially the day after Valentine's Day, but also during Black History Month, the absolute importance of community. And I don't mean that just within the Black community. I mean that with all communities. I mean that interculturally, the importance of community. We need people. We need each other. My pastor touched on multi-generational homes. I'm a big advocate for multi-generational homes. As much as people may make fun of me or say like, oh, well, are you this culture? No, but it's something we could learn from. I'm a big advocate for multi-generational homes. Why? It's community in the home.
You can't have an understanding of how to heal the body holistically, and then when it comes to the community, we don't form a body, in order to do the same thing.
We're just individual cells, pinches off of God.
We strong, but we're invincible like together. When we hear the word fascism, it has a negative connotation because fascists do what they do. Yeah. But the fascia in our body, right? And then just the whole fascist symbol of the bundle of sticks. One stick you could break, a bundle of sticks you can't. Then you put an axe on that bundle of sticks. Not only does it not break, but you can also defend and destroy with it. Same thing with the fascia in our body. We have this spider web that exists throughout our whole system that's responsible for all our organs being in place, our dynamic movement, piezoelectricity, storing energy, charge, healing. We have to think about ourselves like that. We have to form a network so we can innervate the community like the
I am a firm believer that community isn't just something you wait for, it's something you help shape. What does that mean? You can be short. I'm a photographer, researcher in clinical psych. I've been in labs, tech teams, studios, usually as the only black person, the most femme of center, and the gayest person in the room. So, oh my god, patience, what do you do? How do you find community when it feels like there is none? I'm so glad you asked. Here's 3 ways to find community in spaces that weren't built for you. Tip 1. Introduce yourself how you want to be seen. A lot of my videos on here start like this. I make lighting tutorials for girls in case you're afraid to do like that's on purpose. Duh. It's a small thing, but naming it out loud makes room for other people to do the same thing. Brings me to tip number 2. Share your work. Share your work. Share your work even if it's not polished, even if it's not perfect. Started talking about research, photography, and posting ideas on Instagram and other digital spaces. And sometimes it's just how you get found, is thinking out loud and finding like-minded people. Number 3, build sideways, not just upwards. Instead of just waiting for a mentor, a sponsor, someone who's further along than you, some of the best people you can meet are the people who are also figuring it out too. For me, that looks like reaching out to black and queer people in adjacent field, doing similar work with similar ideas, with a similar level of experience. Trade resources, view each other's work, remind each other that we're not behind. So even if you haven't found your people yet, keep showing up, because
learn how to give value, learn how to build a community, learn how to empower other people. Some of y'all spend so much of your fucking time bringing other people down that you don't realize people don't like you just because of that. You bring other people down, then you want to ask people to pay attention to you. That's called being needy and nasty. You ain't helping nobody, but you expect people to pay attention to you. Maybe if you help people, you actually care, you empower, you give words of affirmation, you attempt to help their lives become better, they might reciprocate it. But because you're so frustrated with the world, you don't feel like doing that anymore. The world doesn't care that you're frustrated. You have to negotiate with society. Learn to give value, learn to exchange with other people, learn to build a community so maybe people start liking you and you stop hating other people.
This is my unpopular opinion about respecting your elders. I'm not respecting nobody who's disrespectful to me, okay? Ernestine, Juanita, listen, don't be talking out the side of your dentures now and think that I'm supposed to let it slide because you're old, all right? You know better. Keep it PG, all right?
I don't know who made the term respect your elders, but I would like to change it to respect the elders that respect you. A guest pastor went viral for saying that he doesn't like it when men dress in skinny jeans and satchels and purses. He said that makes you look like a woman, and he's tired of men looking like women. And whether or not you agree with that statement, my first thought was, if you really wanted to reach that demographic of men, the men that dress like that, yes, the first way to do it is to emasculate them by calling them women and then insulting them. That's how you get them to listen. But then I remembered that certain leaders, parents, teachers in the black community, that's how they got you to listen. They insulted you. They humiliated you. They broke you down in hopes to break down your confidence so that you doubt yourself, doubt your decisions. They placed fear inside of you. That's how they got you to respect them. It was never because you truly respected them. Elders feel like this generation is disrespectful, and they may be. Our parents thought we were disrespectful. Their parents thought they were disrespectful. I'd like to say that some, if not a lot of the disrespect that elders get is because they feel like since they've been on this earth for a long time, they can talk to you any kind of way. They can insult you and dehumanize you, and you're gonna deal with it because they're old. And while that thought is cute as hell, it ain't gonna cut it. If anything, you deserve a little less respect because you have been on this earth longer than anybody else has, and you still haven't learned how to talk to anybody. What you been doing? Grandpa keeps calling you a woman because he doesn't like your style of pants, but you're the only one that takes him to his appointments. Tell him to walk. Grandma won't respect your pronouns and keep calling you ladyboy in public because she doesn't get down with your lifestyle. She doesn't have to. But you're the only one that wipes her correctly, so maybe stop. Uncle Julian can do it. Or maybe she'll refer to you as she after the 7th stain. Or maybe she won't. But you don't have to deal with it because you don't have to deal with somebody that doesn't respect you. That's why we have such a hard time treating our children with respect, giving them certain choices, treating them like human beings, because we've placed so much importance around titles. I'm a teacher, I'm an elder, I'm a preacher, I'm a parent, that we forgot why those titles deserve so much respect. Because you uplift, you motivate, you inspire, not belittle, dehumanize, disrespect. Unfortunately, people with that mindset 9 times out of 10 never learn, and they don't have to, but they can spend Christmas alone.
I was taught to respect my elders, but at what point are they supposed to give us a little respect back? I mean, there are some aunties, unks, grandmas, grandpas in their right mind. Let me clarify. They are in their right mind. I hear wilding out and saying some crazy stuff to people. And technically, because they are older, I'm not supposed to say anything back. I'm 50-something years old. I'm not a kid anymore. And yeah, I'm liable to say something back that some will consider disrespectful. But you can't be out here talking to people any type of way just because you got a little age on you.
Something I want us to get past is ageism and this idea that people from other generations, that their values and their opinions and things don't matter as much, that person over there is too old for me to care about what they think, and that person over there is too young for me to hear them out. Like, I think we function better as a society and as a people when we have these intergenerational relationships that we can learn from. And maybe sometimes we're learning from people, maybe sometimes we're teaching people other things, but I think collectively it just all makes us better when our relationships and our friendships are multi-generational, that they don't just stay within a certain age range. And I just think that's like a healthy thing for us to do.
Why is it so hard to heal the Vietnamese community, and what can we actually do about it? Because the community is broken. There is a clear split between the older generation and the younger generation. I think as the younger generation, we have a hard time talking to our elders because they don't really want to listen to us. We have this thing in our culture where it's like, I know what's best for you as your parent till the day that you are 85 years old. And so trying to really introduce a new idea or have a leveled conversation is kind of like non-existent. But I think deep down, both sides wishes that we could connect with the other side. I hate to say it, but if we do want to repair this gap, it's gonna have to be the younger generation that does it. I'm not saying you have to do it, but if you want to have a relationship with your parents, I learned the hard way that I have to do it first. And I remember the first time I realized that, I literally like screamed in my room. I was like, why do I have to be responsible for this too? But our parents don't have the tools. And that's frustrating because as the adults in the situation, I really wish that they could do that for us, but that's just not going to happen. What can we actually do then? If you try to talk to your parents, there is a huge sense of distrust. If you can bring them something else that isn't going to challenge them necessarily, that could actually lead to finding common ground. How I propose we do that is through music. I've been listening to a lot of like the wartime music of pre-1975, which is when our parents and grandparents would have been in Vietnam. Instead of you and your parents just talking at each other, I'm asking you to play a song. You guys can both listen to it together. I'm going to translate a bunch of the music so you can have an understanding of the music too. And just be like, hey, like, have you heard this song? Parents are going to be like, why do you want to know? They're not going to expect us to know that. So if we can drop that on them, it's going to be like, whoa, where did you get that? And that's a conversation. And what that creates is trust. Because if I bring you your own South Vietnamese music, you can't call me a communist. That's not communist music. That's South Vietnamese music. And it also communicates like, hey, I am interested in you and your life and what you're doing, which also indicates, hey, I love you. I feel like for me, at least, I wouldn't ask my parents about their lives a lot because they never asked about mine. Maybe that's because no one's ever asked them about themselves either. This is a long game, but I keep coming back and I keep trying again because ultimately I want that relationship with my parents. I don't want them to pass away and for me to have regret because that day is inevitable, and I would rather have exhausted every option and tried. Also, just knowing the history of your own country is so powerful because it tells you everything about why your parents are the way they are, why your people or your community is the way that it is, and ultimately why you became the person you are today, right? Like, it's not like you just dropped out of the sky. It's because your parents came from somewhere, they survived a war, things happened to them, things happened to you, they treat you a certain way. So there is nothing to be lost when you're learning your own history. That is so incredibly powerful.
We've let this generation down. For the most part, this generation, really ain't shit. And the reason that they're not shit is because we have raised them to not be shit. And, we don't hold our kids accountable. We don't make them respect people. We don't make them respect themselves. We don't make them respect us. Think about it. We have let them down. My generation sucks. We suck. We have totally and completely screwed up two generations. My generation has been the 80s version of crack. Crack cocaine ruined 4 generations. The grandmama, the crackhead, the grandmama who had to take care of the kids, and then their kids' kids. That's what crack did to our community. And now we've turned around and we're doing the exact same thing. That's why our kids are out of control. That's why our kids have no respect for anybody. They don't even have respect for the police. The police pull them over, and they're dead wrong. You ain't got no driver's license. You drunk. You high. You ain't got no seatbelt. Your ticket has expired. They pull you over, and you cussing them out. Cause there's no respect. You have no respect for nothing. Getting kicked out of school after school after school because again, you have no respect, and everything is cool. You know, we're going up to the school and cussing out the teachers. Neighbors can't even say nothing to your kids. My neighborhood raised us. You better not have had to have somebody tell you something on that block and an adult tell you something on that block. You screwed up. I don't even know how to fix it. You know, I really don't.
If older people don't listen to younger people, they become slow amongst older people. When younger people don't listen to older people, they become slower amongst younger people. If young people would listen to older people, they move faster amongst younger people because you got advanced knowledge.
Right.
And when older people listen to younger people, we move faster in the older world because you got new knowledge. So when we listen to each other, we all grow. And that's called...
Yesterday I made a video and I explained that one of the reasons why Gen Z and millennials really struggle to build community and build friendships is because we're just embracing the country clubification of our friend groups based on vibes and aesthetics. It's like cosplaying the ultra wealthy and how they operate and perform friendship without the material wealth to back it. I think an alternative to this are intergenerational communities. That's something that we have lost as a society. People don't go to church or their religious places of worship as much. I think if you are religious and you have that, that's beautiful. But yeah, families are smaller. People are moving away from their loved ones. It's harder to be in connection with all the generations. I do think that putting yourself in in proximity to people who are different from you in that sense can be hard, but it's possible. I'll tell you a couple of ways that you can build more intentional intergenerational communities. Again, I think communities where you are learning a hobby. That's something that Seattle has taught me. A lot of my friends back east were my coworkers, were all the same age, but here creating friendships based on hobbies. I've been in connection with more people who are of different ages, but we are all beginners in learning something together. So that could be a writing community, photography group. Volunteering is another way to just come together around a shared cause and purpose. And I would love to see more energy behind that, because I think those intergenerational communities, that diversity of that group is so important for sustaining our society and really getting through the next 4 years.
Y'all are always looking for cheat codes on stuff. Let me tell you what the real cheat code is. Older women and younger women being in community. I'm going to continue to push this multi-generational conversation because I see y'all starting to figure out.
M never gave me advice about dealing with fame, but he is one of the most important people to me and to my career. He offered me a safe place. He just never participated in anything negative against me, just wanted me to win the entire time. You don't even know you can make a relationship like that in the older adult stages of your life. I think at that point we try to hold on to people, our friends that have been friends for a long time. We create value for them in a different way, and he just came in and was that guy.
This is friendship. This is brothers. Moments we pissed each other off. We make up. We talk about it. We get past it. Sometimes we don't even talk about it because we understand that, yeah, my brother, sometimes
we're going to disagree.
Yeah, we're not going to agree on certain. And It is what it is. And we don't got to speak about it. But then when the moment is over and it passes, we get up and we just build.
Yeah.
We don't even build about it sometimes, though. Sometimes we address it. Sometimes we don't. It's called understanding your brother.
Whenever I hear people say
I don't have any friends. I'm always so dumbfounded about it. Because what do you mean you don't have any friends?
Ain't no friends. It ain't even such thing as friends. Friends not even exist. I don't know how to spell that. I don't know nothing about a friend. You know what I'm saying?
We just want to see you do more for the hood, you know what I'm saying, as you gain status.
What they do? What they do? Nigga, my mama was broke. Nigga, my mama got put out of that motherfucking house. What they do? Nigga, I was sleeping in the car. What they do?
I don't got no friends. You know what I mean? I got supporters, people on my side and people on the other side. Watch people. Because you can fake for a long time, but one day you're going to show yourself to be a phony. You know what I mean? I know who shot me. I don't care about telling the police none of that. I don't care about none of that. Be to yourself. Stay to yourself. Trust nobody. Trust nobody. After dog. You know what I mean? Straight up. My closest friends did me in. My closest friends, my homies, people who I done took care of their whole family. I done took care of everything for them, looked out for them, put them in the game, everything. Turned on me. Fear is stronger than love. Remember that. Fear is stronger than love. All the love I gave didn't mean nothing when it came to fear.
No wonder Tupac never had a true close friend in his life. His 3 friendship principles kept everyone at a distance. Even at his death, Tupac left behind not gratitude for Snoop Dogg or the Death Row family, but beef tracks. This was due to his 3 difficult-to-fulfill friendship rules. First, Tupac valued loyalty and trust above all. He saw betrayal as unforgivable, especially from Snoop Dogg, whom he treated like family. However, Snoop publicly supported Biggie and Diddy, betraying Tupac's trust. Their last conversation ended with Tupac refusing to help Snoop, and they never spoke again. Second, Tupac wanted his friends to be sources of strength, facing life's challenges together. Despite the opportunity to collaborate with Michael Jackson, they never became close friends. Tupac believed MJ should invest more in poor black communities, and this difference in views kept their relationship from deepening. Lastly, Tupac believed friends should broaden each other's horizons and have a positive impact. However, Biggie and Diddy only saw Tupac's commercial value and never truly cared about his personal growth or emotional needs. Their relationship, driven by business interests, became increasingly strained, leading to a bitter rivalry and leaving Tupac emotionally shaken. Tupac longed for genuine friendship, but sadly, he never found a soulmate who truly understood him.
I be seeing y'all, the girls that I relate to on TikTok when it comes to like not being able to keep friends or have friends or whatever have you. Like basically either your circle's mini small or you don't have friends at all. I'm in that community right now. But I'm not finna, I don't know, I don't hear enough people talk about the guilt, like the grieving part of it, because I want friends. Like, I'm not the kind of person that's like, oh, FB words, I stand alone, da, 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 da. I do stand alone. I've been doing it for so long. I stand alone, but do I want to? No, I would love to have friend girls. I would love to be in communication with friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want my own little community of women who I know for a fact love me and they know for a fact I love them. That's what I want. I long for that. And like, I really pray that I get that. So I'm in the community, but not too deep in.
If you don't have any friends or you really struggle to make and keep friends, here's a few reasons why that might be that are kind of surprising. This is coming from a friendship educator with a degree in interpersonal communication who reads all the friendship research and distills it down for you, so follow me if you're interested in that. Number 1, you might not have friends because of the way you were raised. If your parents didn't model good social skills and show you what it's like to have friends by being friends with people themselves, then that might have set you back a little. Number 2, a lot of it is just societal. We don't really live in places anymore that are set up for friend making. Places like with lots of town squares and plazas where everybody can kind of converge and exist in a way that they don't have to be buying things and they can just talk with one another. We don't really have walkable cities as much anymore. It's less easy to just see a lot of different people when you're walking out and about just going to the post office. Number 3, spending a lot of time on your phone over years and years and years really can wear down at your ability to socialize IRL. When we're just staying at home and looking at our little screens, it kind of dulls our ability to know how to like small talk with people and get a friendship going and ask somebody for their number and like try to build a friendship off of it. And lastly, a fear of rejection or feeling cringe is probably holding you back. A lot of people are worried that if they overtly try to become somebody's friend, it's just going to be seen as like super cringy, but most people are actually interested in becoming friends with other people. So if you're just willing to put yourself out there and get over that fear of what others might think, because they're probably not thinking about your experience at all, they're thinking about their own experience, that will set you free.
I find it so hard for me to want to make friends anymore because of obviously what the past looked like. But I think when I get into spaces where I even have the chance to introduce myself or, you know, befriend someone, or not even befriend someone, you know, but just like pop it off, I will not take those opportunities at all. Like, I can sit and have a conversation with you, don't get me wrong, but as far as me like exchanging numbers, no, I'll see you next time. Like, I have just gotten, I don't know, I've gotten so awkward when it comes to just even wanting to pop it off. Like, I'll give you a compliment maybe, but for the most part, I'm just really staying to myself now. And I've really noticed that a lot as I'm getting older, that I just really prefer to stay to myself, because I feel like friendships, they are beautiful if they have a foundation, but that takes time, and a lot of people want to rush that, and they also don't understand that there will be troubling times. Not every day is going to be peaches and cream, but how you make someone feel is so important to me, that the people that I've come in contact with have not made me feel good, and that's not okay for me. Like I said, I know there will be bad times, but it's very important on how those bad times are handled. Just meeting people is just such a challenge that I don't even want the challenge.
I had like a group of friends out here that I like really loved hanging out with, and I loved, like, I don't know, going out and doing things and experiencing different parts of life and things that I've never done before. Like, it was a group that I really like loved and admired, and as of recently we have kind of like broken apart. I feel like it was kind of like something that I suspected would be coming at some point. There were a lot of times that I would be treated badly. I would kind of just excuse the way that they were acting, because I was like, well, maybe it is because like I'm sensitive and I can't take a joke, so maybe it's me. That's the reason that I'm not having friendships, I guess. I met a new friend named Taylor, and I feel like, honestly, speaking with her made me realize that like I've just put up with a lot of treatment that is not necessarily the best coming from friends. Like, if you're in a group full of people and you feel like you have to change the person that you are and change like stuff that you do so that you will be fit in more, or you won't feel as judged,
then run away immediately.
In my friendships, I want to have fun, and I want everybody to be having fun and happy, and we're all nice to each other, and there's no arguing, and it's just a good time. Like, I feel like I have so many other things going on in my life that, like, in my friendships, those are the one thing that I feel like I can control that. And when the friends that I have, I feel like it's like a chore to be their friend, and I'm every single thing that happens, I'm feeling like I have to like explain myself overly. It's just like, you're not really my friend for real. I recently am learning that not everybody is for you. There are going to be people that are in your life for a short time and a certain purpose, and they're going to serve a certain purpose in your life, and then they're going to leave, and then that is okay. Not every single person that you are around or that you become friends with is somebody that is meant to be in your life for the rest of it. That's okay. Like, you don't have to, if you are having to make a friendship work, like if you are having to change yourself or go out of your way to make things work, then that's not the right person for you. Like, friendships literally should be easy.
I finally figured out why some women have no friends. And spoiler alert, it's not because they're mean bitches. It's because they're tired. Usually underneath all that like tough, hard exterior, she's actually a really fucking sweet, decent friend. Like, she's loyal, she's trustworthy, she's honest. And it just honestly makes me think, like, how do you not have more friends? Like, I feel like some girls who don't have friends are the ones who should have more friends, and the ones who have a lot of friends shouldn't. And once you get to like know her, you realize that she's been traumatized in friendships. That's why she's so antisocial, and it's just made her very hypervigilant, hyper aware. She's amazing at pattern recognition, and she's probably just dealt with too many girls who are like pretend to be her friend and try to use her, copy her, and is very jealous. I mean, I've been that girl who had no friends, and I actually thought something was wrong with me. But I think once you start to peep people's bullshit, you just don't have time for mess. Yeah, 2025 going forward, let's stop looking at women who have no friends and thinking like she's just a mean, bitter bitch. No, like, a lot of times these girls
are the best type of friends. She's just learned to be more selective with who she allows in her circle or just around her in general. And that's honestly not a bad thing. More people should be doing that.
On game, I know I'm not the only one. Is y'all going through a whole bunch of weird shit too? Are y'all going through weird shit too? Like, is people just being fucking weird? Cause people being fucking weird to me right now. And I don't know what the fuck is in the air, the water, the food.
People are weird as hell. And what I mean by that is people will sit here on social media and watch your entire video. Look at your stories, look at everything you're doing, right? And not like or comment on a single thing. You just want to be a fan, is what you're saying. And it's because it's you, whether you are too attractive, whether they, they're jacking your swag, whether they like your personality, your aura, or everything, all of the above, right? They will sit there and stalk you and watch every single thing you do, but never show love. And they'll have the nerve to call you a weirdo or try to make fun of you or talk bad about you at the end of the day. People are that weird in 2025. If you don't like me, if you don't like something I'm doing, if you don't like anything about me, if I'm the bad guy, right? Why are you always looking at what I do? Why will you watch every video? Why will you look at every story? Why will you look at every single thing I'm doing, but you can't ever congratulate me? It doesn't take a lot of work to be nice. All you got to do is show a little love. People are that weird. 2025 and beyond is the era of weirdos. Be careful, you feel me?
If you were trying to be like friends with somebody or like, get into a group of people that are doing what you want to do and they kind of played you to the left or treated you a little weird, just leave. Leave immediately and kind of do your own thing because believe it or not, doing your own thing, especially if it's something that you want to do, it'll work well. And then those same people that treated you weird will like be nice now, and that's kind of weird. But it is what it is. And if you're an even bigger person, you don't even have to remind them of the bullshit that they did in the past. You can just keep on trucking along, And you'll meet people who actually like you and are motivated by you, and in return, they motivate you too. But yeah, don't stick around.
The lessons I've learned from clients in my role as a therapist is the importance of having a community. And if you don't have a community, it's very important that you build yourself a community. And because of that lack of community, I'm noticing an increase in incidents of loneliness and isolation. I'm noticing that a lot of clients like emotional support and validation. Just a general lack of belonging. And of course that impacts, our self-worth. And having the deficit of all and these things makes it even more difficult to build resilience, because having the support system, having someone that can support you emotionally, physically, and in the ways that you need, makes it easier for you to overcome. But that being said, most of the clients that come to me and see me with these issues, it's not because they don't have anyone in their lives. It's just like the people that are in their lives they haven't spoken to in a while, or perhaps they live in different cities. They live on the other side of the country, or even if they do live relatively close, they've allowed work and other responsibilities to kind of pile up to the point where they haven't been able to tap in to that support system. Moral of the story is, tap into your support system. You got friends, you have family. You probably haven't reached out to them in a long time. Send them a text. I know some of y'all thinking, oh, it's been so long, and just feel like I'm only popping out to ask them for something. No, just pop out. Just be like, hey, I just thought about you. How you doing? Let's catch up. Something simple. It does not have to be complicated.
Success for me at 31 and now in 2025 looks very, very different than it did for me 2 years ago. Why? Because my best friend died. And once I realized that none of this matters, all of this is stupid, it completely shifted my idea of success from being able to buy whatever I want to be able to cultivate lasting, thriving, beautiful community.
It's a weird feeling when you realize that you are no one's first choice. You are no one's priority. Maybe you also realize that no one is your priority, that you have no primary person in your life that you can rely on. It can be a very lonely feeling, especially if you compare yourself to how others live, and especially if you feel that you value the people in your life but they don't value you the same, or that the people in your life, they have primary people in their life. You're not one of them. You have to be the one to support yourself, because there's not really any other people to support you in the way that you need it. I also think it's a very important thing to heal that wound of that child who never felt that there was a safety net, who never felt that there was someone who loved them and who had them as their priority and wanted them to be safe, wanted them to feel loved, because that is something that is so essential to a child to feel. And if that was not there, then it can never be substituted. No parent figure in adulthood, or no teacher, no coach, no therapist, no friend, no child, no partner can ever substitute what the child should have had, because the child should have had it when it was a child. So it is a deep wound and a deep deficiency in something that every human has a right to, which is to belong and to feel loved, to feel safe.
The number of Seoul residents who live alone is on the rise. Now, one household in every two has a single occupant, and well over half of that group say they experience feelings of loneliness. Many spend long periods seeking companionship online. Ko Yong-ho lives alone in an apartment. For the past 3 months, the 63-year-old, who's unemployed, has been spending his afternoons at a so-called mind convenience store in the hope of overcoming his loneliness. This novel space, developed by the city authorities, enables people to mix casually, a rarity in South Korea where social interactions are often formal.
I feel good since I started coming here regularly. It's better than going home and reading alone. Here, I can spend all my time with other people and listen to their stories. I really like it. It's simple. It feels like chatting with neighbors, like talking to grandparents in the community. But you have fewer wrinkles than I do.
Oh no, I'm getting older.
4 of these spaces have opened in Seoul since March last year. The city expected 5,000 visits in the first few months. Instead, people have visited almost 60,000 times. Another 21 centres are due to open by 2027 to cope with demand.
This is a physical space designed for people who have gone beyond loneliness and can be considered socially isolated. Here, they can interact with other people. The proportion of people who feel lonely is particularly high in Seoul. And studies show that it affects middle-aged and young people most of all.
Seoul's government is treating loneliness as a risk to public health.
So what happens when we put too much importance on our connection with other people is that we somehow give them the power that's supposed to be ours. And we invent the feeling of loneliness. I used to believe that the feeling of loneliness was real. I just felt like I had to have people around me. I had to have connections, otherwise I will end up feeling lonely, and somehow I associated a strong negative feeling with the word loneliness, and therefore it scared me. But once I faced it, once I understood that if I really be honest with myself, I don't feel the need of connecting with anyone on a deeper level. Whatever that means. Honestly, most of these weird words that we use in psychology, in these, self-help books, in these new spiritual stuff, doesn't make any sense to me. I have to be honest. It all feels like just words without any tangible meaning. So the conclusion I came to while I was isolating myself from other people, while not socializing and not reaching out to anyone, just sitting with myself, just living my life, just be present. And I start to see that the answer all along to my suffering was to learn how to be complete on my own, to feel whole, not to feel that strong craving or desire that I used to feel when it comes to connecting with other people. It feels like as if I have to receive the text message, or I have to have that phone call from someone. That there was this constant feeling of waiting for something to happen, waiting to be acknowledged, waiting to be loved, waiting to be accepted.
In a world where hyper-individuality is so highly praised and so sought after, I would love to offer a counter-argument. It's not something that hasn't been said before. The price of community is sometimes your schedule of the day just being off by 30 minutes because you decided to help a friend with something. Waking up really early to take a friend to the airport or to go with them to the hospital. That is the price of community. We talk so often about how badly we want community, how badly we want people that we can count on and others that can count on us. But when it actually comes down to it, nobody wants to do that for each other. I was talking to my cousin the other day, and she has kind of a hard time keeping in contact with friends or people that are not directly near her all the time. Sometimes they got in the way, didn't fit into her daily schedule, or she just kind of forgot about it. I told her about how trees, if there is one tree that is sick or dying or has been cut, all the other trees through the root system will help and send nutrients to that tree to help it heal. And that is exactly what we need to do. Even if it inconveniences our day just a little bit, to send a text or to give a call to someone, that is how you build community. That is how you build those strong root systems that we need now, because our world is so shit and we need to have people that are around us that they know they can count on us and we know we can count on them.
First and most important thing I'm going to say, if you want to make substantial friendships, you have to put yourself out there and you have to be willing to follow up with people. I think there's this notion that nobody really wants to talk about that says, okay, people will come to me and people will gravitate towards me, so I don't really have to put myself out there because the right people will come to me. Well, yes, I understand that sentiment. We now come to a standstill because imagine if everyone is thinking that same exact thought. Nobody's moving, no one's doing anything because we all have the same thought process that, okay, people will gravitate towards me. But what happens when everyone thinks that way? The answer is nothing happens. Quite literally, physically, nobody's coming up to each other and no one is making those connections. So you have to be the first brave soul to go up to someone and say, I love your outfit. Where'd you get it from? There's a new place that opened up down the road. Would you like to get drinks? You have to be willing to start that conversation. And also, after you go on that first friend date, you have to be willing to follow up. And the other thing that I've learned that is honestly equally as important is that you have to have a strong sense of self to know that not everyone is going to click with you and not everyone is going to be your friend.
The community is the value. Users is the value. So this is why if we don't have users, we'll have nothing. We'll have zero value. So community is everything. It appears that very few people understand the long-term value of communities. I think having a user, having you guys with us for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years will be much, much more valuable than anything else that we can get, than any short-term gains, issue and coin, etc. that we can get. That's the big value.
I often hear people talk about wanting to start their own communities because they haven't found anything that's right for them, right? They don't align with certain organizations. They don't align with maybe religion. They don't believe in their tenets. They don't like this. They don't like that. And I'm not saying one must forego all aspects of identity and core values, but a community to me is like we're working together and we're all saying something, having a say, and there's this equal amount of commitment and accountability, if you want to call it that, accountability to the core values. And I don't know, am I I don't know if this is making any sense, but I often do see that, like, people who are willing to take the lead on something, and they don't want a community, they just want to lead a bunch of people, or they want to start a club.
A community can get you through the worst times in life. And though we don't like to think about it, we all go through things in life that are very difficult and challenging. I mean, that's just life. That's what it is to be alive. But if you have a community, it's different. It's much more possible to survive these things with eloquence and grace, even when you're not feeling eloquent or graceful, while you're going through these things, while the rain is falling. Build a community now when you don't need one. Scott Peck, author of The Different Drum, said that crisis communities rarely last once the crisis has passed. But real, organically grown community, a group of committed people who come together and decide to build community together, that can last as long as the people want it to last.
Black people, I want y'all to pay attention to something, right? Me and my father was sitting here and we were talking about the connections that other races of people have in their own communities to kind of be prosperous. And, you know, it just brought to my attention, like, this is how we're supposed to move. So I'm going to show you something real quick. This tobacco store, right? It used to be a 7-Eleven a long time ago. But we're really cool with the owners. It's an Indian guy, right? Now, we were talking about how when you go to different areas in my state, you'll see these guys who work at this store, who own this store, and he'll be at another store, you get what I'm saying, talking to one of their owners, and they was cool, whatever. We're talking about how this tobacco store is connected to a liquor store that's down the block, that's connected to another liquor store that's across town, that's connected to a Dash and gas station that's on the other side of town. You feel me? But I see them all working at each other's stores or helping each other out. That is community right there. You get what I'm saying?
I saw this the other day, and this is so true. I don't like discipline. I like community. I spent so much time criticizing myself for not getting XYZ done, for lacking consistency, all while ignoring the fact that so many of the things I do alone are supposed to be done in community. Yes. So many of us are building businesses, building gardens, building all these things, and we're doing so much of it alone, when really we need the help of others, especially mothers are raising babies and creating a business and creating that, and they're doing it alone. Even a lot of men are doing things alone. And the problem is we should be doing these things together. We should be supporting one another. We should be making sure to have each other's back, because we all have something that we bring to the table within our mentality, within our perspective, within the ways we see things. And we should be making sure we're doing a lot more of these things in community. Healing needs community. Healing needs community. Was that ass beating in Alabama not healing for all of you? That was because community came together.
What do you want us to do then? You seem like you got all the answers. Start locking in with your community. Okay? Start having the uncomfortable conversations within your community, so that way you know who's actually safe within your community. Once you figure out who's actually safe within your community, start establishing real safety nets, such as community gardens or a network of sharing and trading skills and services with each other. So that way you can separate yourself from the capitalistic society that we actively live in. So now that you have your community that is now self-sufficient and continuously thriving, you push those ideas and ideals forward to the next neighboring community. So that way you have a larger network. And now that we have even more skills and services available within our working class society, we can further branch off from this capitalistic society that literally only benefits the 1%. So if we continue to use all of our skills and active communication going towards a quality of life that works for all of us and also does not destroy the environment, I feel like we will be able to thrive. And why do I have these thoughts and assumptions that it would be kind of easy to do? Because prehistoric fucking cavemen managed it. Ancient civilizations figured it out. They figured out how to coexist. So why the fuck can't we? We got all this fucking technology. Language is the most accessible it's ever fucking been. Common ground is feasibly the most accessible it's ever been in history.
Yeah, I'm part of the hip hop community, man. I'm a fan first. And it's everything because we're so impressionable. You know, we learn everything from hip hop. We learn how to dress, we learn how to talk, we learn how to walk. And that shit sticks with you throughout your whole life. You might get a job or something like that, but you still gonna have that Wu-Tang tat. You can't, you can cover it up, but it's still there. That's why it's important.